Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, fellow practitioners of the deceptive arts. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and I am the master of the deceptive arts. And today, I wanted us to discuss the tools of the deceptive arts, rather the most powerful tool of deception ever invented and created in all recorded history and all of humanity, the smartphone. The purpose of today's video is not just to analyze the insidious and hidden benefits of this miraculous tool, but to discuss how we can use it to our advantage, and more importantly, we must strategize how we can prevent others from using this tool against us. And I think we need to analyze both aspects of this in order for us to come up with an effective strategy. But first, we must understand what we are up against. As you can see on the screen in today's title, it says 70% of the world uses smartphones. This effectively means all of the adults in the world have access to this device, and those that don't are usually underage, right? But we're literally talking about the majority of the world has this device. So first, we must understand how omnipresent and widespread this device or these devices actually are. Before we can even talk about what it is, let's first take a moment to acknowledge the seriousness of the fact that this is everywhere, right? And practically everyone has it. And some people have even more than one. I can tell you that I'm one of those people. I'm one of the people who has two of them, right? I have one that is just strictly for work because I really do need one that functions for work, for document presentations, calls, even sometimes just to update things like payroll, all kinds of things, not to mention to send out like information and messages. There was a time when I was vehemently against using smartphones as a device to communicate, because I thought there was so much distraction on it. But eventually I just had to get a second one. I had to get one, and on that one there are no games on there. There are no videos. There's no music. There's some pictures, but mostly just screenshots related to work. It is strictly for work, right? So, and then of course I have the ancient phone where I can do so many other things on there. But in truth, regardless of the limits that I've put on one device and another device, effectively the separation indicates that I can do an endless myriad of tasks related to one function and an endless myriad of tasks related to another function, but both of them really can serve as one device. You don't need two devices. And most people can do quite the same with just one device. But myself, for many important reasons, I have two devices. I really have a device that I would want no one to ever find out. And you are on that device, so you can consider yourself quite fortunate to be on the ancient device, right? So all this information that you see, actually, if you've seen me on any other social media that I haven't been banned on, quite frankly, so you might find me on Instagram, might find me on Threads and other things, X, and I had TikTok once that didn't fare so well. But what you will notice is that there is a consistency there, maybe not in product or information, but you will see that all that information is actually on the ancient phone, but on the other phone is completely unrelated. Like you would never, if you saw one device and saw another device, you would never associate those two devices with the same person. In fact, there is no crossover whatsoever. The one has a completely different number from a completely different country. The other one has another number from another different country. That's how far it goes. It's not just a matter of separating emails. Anyone can do that. I have completely, and then both of them are fully functional, right? So it's not even a situation of like I have to use like online gimmicks in order to use the number for which the other country is where I am or I am not. No, both of them function everywhere all the time with the same efficacy. So you would never know just by calling me where I was or where I wasn't, right? But I'm just that kind of person, right? I'm practicing the deceptive arts, and I'll take it as far as I need to go. And I will expand those deceptive arts as far as I can, all right? Until I can attain the status of grandmaster of the deceptive arts, as I'm sure you too thirst for the title of master as well as you should, of the deceptive arts as well you should. This should inspire you to improve your skills and get better and better, as we all do. And in truth, most people actually have just one device. So they'll have their ancient device, and they will have the information that should be on their ancient device and the information that should be on their other device. They'll have it all in one place, right? But if I have more than one device, that means there are people who do too, right? And even though there are some people who have, most people will only have just one, but just remember, there are some people who will have two as well, and you may have no idea, right? And they could do anything. So they could be talking to you with the one and have another one planted there with the camera on, recording everything you do, and you would never know, right? Over and above, like the surveillance in rooms and hotels and in public spaces and that kind of thing. They could be doing their own recording with a separate phone, and you would never know. You would never know, right? If I was you, I would always operate under the paranoid assumption that you are always being recorded, right? We discussed the importance of being paranoid and trusting no one and just assuming that the enemy will come to you. Sun Tzu says, do not waste your time hoping that the enemy will not come. Rather, spend that time preparing so that when he does come, you are ready to receive him. He will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. So you should be paranoid, paranoid, paranoid. Strengthening your secrets, strengthening your deceptive arts, strengthening your defenses. So waiting for the enemy to come to you, and you should be getting a vasectomy. Was that vasectomy is what we're talking about here, right? It's about putting you beyond the possibility of defeat and then strengthening your defenses, strengthening your resolve, strengthening your secrets, improving your skills in the deceptive arts, so that when the enemy does finally come and tries to instill their own deception, you are more than prepared for theirs. So just always work on the assumption that you are being recorded. Yes, you're being watched too, but that's always been true of humanity. People who have eyes can see. It's just that simple. People who have eyes can see. And if you are visible, they will see you. They will watch you, right? But now your actions are being recorded, which doesn't mean not only can you be seen, right? Currently, it means that you can be seen again and again in the same moment, in the same frame, doing the same action perfectly, right? You can be replayed. Your actions, your behavior can be replayed over and over and over, and assessed and reassessed by different people with different priorities and different perspective and different needs and different circumstances and different standards to you. So on the one hand, the ancient one might assess your actions as merely practicing the deceptive arts, but a judge might look at those actions and assess that you should be in prison for 5 years. This is how powerful it is, and this is where we are in life. You must absolutely understand that it's not a matter of how you present yourself now. It's really a question of how do you present yourself all the time. How can you maintain that, right? And I always said it's all about maintaining standards. You need to have a standard of behavior, and you need to maintain that standard at all times, right? So that should somebody else observe your actions, your behaviors, what they need to be able to see is that you are in the right. Is that you are in, even if you have to be observed to be in the defensive, it is better for you to be seen to be in the defensive than for you to be the aggressor. And if you are not functioning under the notion that you are being recorded all the time, I think you're making a strategic mistake, because you are. Teachers in the classroom being recorded by students who should not have phones in the classroom. Lecturers being recorded. Policemen being recorded. People are recording themselves in the courtroom with the judge. People are recording themselves in prison, man. People are recording themselves committing crimes, and they're recording you all the time, right? This is over and above the regular surveillance cameras that are everywhere, in the parks, in the banks, in the streets, in the cars, right? Everywhere, right? You must now function under the assumption that you are being recorded everywhere, right? And everyone has to function under that assumption. But most people are not practicing the deceptive arts. So they're not practicing their paranoia. They don't leave out the house thinking, okay, showtime. I'm being recorded now, right? So how do you combat this? right? It's like I alluded a moment ago. It's simple. You just have to put on a show, right? You have to put on a costume, in other words, put on the outfit that you want to be seen. I recommend in earnest, long trousers and a shirt, right? Like not a t-shirt, like a shirt. In fact, I recommend a white shirt, right? For many reasons. So it'll keep you cool. Number one, it'll keep your body covered, or you can fold and expose your arms, much similar to how a t-shirt might. It'll always look appropriate. And as you get older, I'm going to tell you that the style that you wore at 29 becomes completely inappropriate at 30. It's really that quick. Like when you wake up on your 30th birthday, you cannot be dressing the same way that you were dressing in your 20s. So I recommend just it's cheap and it's very effective, but some long trousers, some dark trousers. Please forgo the light trousers. So some navy blue, some black, some denim, whatever it is that you like to wear, and a decent shirt, and you should be good to go, right? T-shirts and hoodies. You just at 35, you know what it is. Maybe I can describe this for a moment. It's not just that it's inappropriate, it looks bad, right? When you're a teenager, your body and your frame, that hoodie sits magnificently on a young person. But when you're in your 30s, you gain weight in unexpected areas, like around your neck, around your chin. Your beard starts to go gray. Like you shave, but you're never really cleanly shaved. You start to have like a 3 o'clock shadow all day long, right? So you shave in the morning, but by the time you get home, it's like you have stubble again. So really, you're not your body won't agree with the hoodie, and the hoodie won't agree with your frame. You need to just let go of hoodies altogether and just get yourself some nice jerseys, and some shirts. You just need to let go, and every 5 years you need to reassess what you're wearing. Right? You need to really change up and get simpler, and get more stable. But it just looks bad. I'm just being honest. It's not a matter of people trying to curtail your expression of self and your style. You know, when you're wearing shorts, because you have this weight around your stomach that you don't really see. And when you're wearing a t-shirt, that t-shirt is not flattering with that tummy weight, right? Not to mention those man boobs. It's really unflattering, right? And then what happens is you have this big torso, this big upper body, and these skinny legs, and there you go wearing shorts, and your legs, because you're not, when you were young, you were exercising a lot, playing basketball, playing football, playing baseball, playing soccer, or football if you so decide, doing athletics. You had fantastic legs, but now you're not running. Even if like I do, I run 10Ks every day, but it's not the same 10Ks that I ran at 16, 17, 18 when I was a beast, when I could kill it. It's not the same, right? So your legs don't look good, and your upper body is really imbalanced, and there you are dressing completely inappropriate. Even if you are in good shape as an older man, it's just not the same. When you wear that hoodie, it betrays you. It really throws you off. You have to let these hoodies go, guys. I say, and I'm being generous by saying 30. But really, if you are 29 years old and you have a collection of hoodies, you need to gift those hoodies out. You need to start, giving to the church, giving to, I don't know who you need to give some to your girlfriend, that nephew that's always in prison. give him a hoodie, but you need to let go of those hoodies. Also, the hoodie, quite frankly, tells people to arrest you. I can't imagine that they'll arrest a man in a shirt and some nice trousers. But a hoodie, I'd arrest you. Absolutely, I'd arrest you just by wearing that hoodie. Take it off, right? And leave it off, right? And just leave it off. Put on some nice, decent clothes, but be comfortable. Don't be uncomfortable. Don't be sweaty. Don't wear clothes that don't fit you. So don't wear a smaller size, even though you've put on some weight. Go buy a new shirt that fits you for now. When you lose weight, you'll buy another shirt later, right? Keep running so you lose weight, and the more weight you lose, just keep changing out those shirts until you find your right size. But you have to give a meaningful performance. And that starts with what you're wearing, as well as how you present yourself, right? And you need to present yourself the way that you want to be perceived, instead of, quite frankly, the way your mood dictates. Because it's not really a question of who I am as a person. You're just dressing the way your mood dictates. When you were young, you wore what your parents told you to wear. And the older you got, they gave you some options and you started wearing what you liked. But your style has been changing and evolving over the years, and it needs to evolve once more. So you need to now dress, and let's be honest, when you changed your style and started wearing the jeans, the hoodies, the sneakers, all that, you wanted to be perceived in a certain way. So you dressed that way. So now you need to continue with that same principle. Don't now say, oh, this is my true personality. No, you want people to perceive that the way you dress is your true personality. Let's move on, right? The fashion is just an expression. Fashion is the way you see yourself in your mind and the way you want other people to see you. That's what expression is, right? It's not an indication of permanent status. Right? And I'm not a fashion guru, but I'm just telling you what the gurus would tell you, right? So you are now at a different stage and phase in your life. You need to dress the way you want to be perceived. Do you want to be taken seriously as a man? Then you need to dress likewise, right? You need to present yourself as you would like to be perceived, rather than the way your mood dictates, even if that is a lie, right? Even if that's a lie, you just have to perpetrate that lie with confidence, right? If you are going to put on a costume and put on a mask, right, the least you could do for the people that are looking at you and recording you is put on a meaningful performance, right? Give us something to behold. There's no point in you putting on that costume and then going out there and then messing up that performance and disappointing the rest of us, because we wanted to see you uphold your deceptive abilities and instead you crashed over a bad mood. That's unacceptable, right? And especially at work, where you are being paid to perform, there you have to give your best performance and keep improving that performance, right? But keep in mind always that you're being recorded, and take it for granted that you are being recorded in the bathroom too. And a lot of people don't think they're being recorded in the bathroom. And I promise you, just look online. There are tons of bathroom videos, right? Tons of bathroom videos. Where there are people, recordings are going to be happening. Be paranoid. Be suspicious. And keep close to your most guarded secrets. And that will absolutely strengthen your resolve in the deceptive arts. But let's consider now for a moment what a smartphone actually is, in terms of the deceptive arts. For us, a smartphone is a conduit of information, legal and illegal crimes. Whatever illegal deeds a knee bender or counterpart has been involved in, it is there on that phone. And you can find it, right? Now, there are other things too, and some of those things might be immoral and unsound, and those are fine, right? And they will have their place, right? So the various multitudes and functions on these devices are not just ways to gather evidence and information, but they are also places where places where information, personal information, right, where people keep it and where it can be received. Now, this is not difficult to figure out if you know what type of information you need to look for, right? There are 5 types of information you need to look for. You need to look for anything to do with intimacy. You need to look for anything to do with substances or alcohol, any other substances, whatever medicine they're taking. So, are they taking medicine associated with STDs and STIs, or whatever they're taking, right? Are they on birth control or are they using rocket launchers, right? Anything to do with substances. So you need to look for videos, right? So this is like information on their phone. So these can be videos or whatever, recordings, documents, accusations, text messages, anything that indicates violence or belligerence. So so the first one will be intimacy, right? Anything that has to do with intimacy, adult content, right? Personal content or solicitation, anything to do with substances, right? We discussed that. The third will be violence and belligerence, so bad language, swearing, arguing, that kind of thing. The fourth will be financial trouble, right? Debts, loans, purchases of illegal substances, cash withdrawals in the middle of the night. So somebody's withdrawing cash at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And then, of course, my personal favorite, any kind of provable illegal activity. These are the things that you want to focus on. And if you focus your own personal surveillance of others on these 5 simple and obvious criteria, then there is no limit to what you can uncover. And then your own secrets will go it will grow and improve as you will have not only your own secrets, but also the secrets of others. And again, your strength and skills and resolves will grow too in the deceptive arts, right? Simultaneously, you need to ensure that no one ever discovers these 5 propensities, these 5 inclinations, proclivities, or any other tendencies that you might have. Not only must you appear to be upholding the law, you must also be a dark void of emptiness when it comes to information. A dark void of emptiness where seemingly information enters, disappears, and never leaves, while information is never given off. You just take the information and seemingly store it. You are gathering the information and details that you want. And the fact that these devices are everywhere all the time, these smartphones are everywhere all the time, it indicates the constant dangers of having no self control, but also the endless opportunity to practice deception and also to discover and uncover deception in others, because all those secrets are all in those phones, right? This can be like an endless game of shadows where you know you're going to get some information out of that phone, right? And you need to get that information. You need to make sure you can get that information, whether it's got to do with intimacy, substances, violence and belligerence, financial trouble, or illegal activities. Because you know that people are are always up to something, right? More so, this indicates that we are truly in a digitized world. If you look at these numbers with billions of smartphones all over the world functioning 24/7, recording everything, receiving and trading information, right? We are truly in a digitized and information based world. This is the reality of existence now. In the 90s, not a single smartphone existed. In the early 2000s, you could barely get a smartphone. And now we have truly been digitized to a personal and intimate level. No two smartphones, quite frankly, are the same. If you open one smartphone, you're bound to find different types of information than you would on another one. It is an endless array of information. And I am sure that if you look at the 5 criteria that we've outlined, you'll find 2, maybe 3 of these are involved with every knee bender and every counterpart. This is the world that we live in now. And the tools that we have are fairly equalized, right? So, and quite frankly, they are more or less the same. The smartphones, they are more or less the same, and they pretty much do more or less the same thing. So the difference will be in how the individual uses those devices. Of course, there are many uses, like I've outlined work. So I have one strictly for work. Really, that phone is just bare. It's just full of work based information that, quite frankly, I may end up just deleting one day. But I do need to keep it somewhere and have it available. And that is just very convenient, right? But you can also use it for entertainment, which many people do, shopping, gaming, creativity, as I'm doing right now, and whatnot. Right? So I'm using this to share information on the bachelor life, on vasectomites, on these knee benders. You can't trust these knee benders. You also can't trust these counterparts, right? And I'm really trying to give out this useful information, right? So it's a very useful tool that can, you know, that has a lot of potential to be effective in your own personal progress. But most of it will prove to be a distraction, if I have to be honest. Most of the things that you're doing on these smartphones will be a distraction, which is why my work one really has nothing on it. No videos, no social media at all. No, well, maybe YouTube, but that's only so I can use it for work. But really, there's nothing. No videos, no movies, no series, no nothing, nothing, right? Because I know how distracting it can be, and every day I keep trying to find things that I can delete, right? Just so I can keep it focused on the task. But otherwise, it's easy for you to get distracted on these devices. It's very easy for you to get distracted. And for that reason, you can be sure that people have secrets in there. Because I can imagine, I know what I do on these devices, so I know you're doing more or less the same thing or worse. And if it's less or it's different, we need to find out what that is. And it's all there on the phone, right? And quite frankly, you can get lost in the distractions. People use the mix of work and play to to misdirect you. But if you focus on the 5 tenets of trouble, or what some might call the 5 fingers of death, which are illegal activity, financial trouble, violence and belligerence, substance, right? Substances and intimacy. And if you focus your search on these, you will not get lost in the maze of endless information, because that's what the practitioners of deceptions would do, right? That's what the practitioners of deceptions do. They try to hide their illegal activity. They try to hide financial trouble. They try to hide their violent and belligerent behavior. Definitely they want to hide their substance abuse. And if somebody smokes, you can be sure they also drink. It's not often where somebody smokes and doesn't drink. And if somebody drinks, you know they're open to anything. Once they've had a drink or two, they'll do anything. And then of course intimacy goes along with all of that, right? Then you won't get lost. Then what it'll do is it'll simplify this tool for you, right? You will you know you can't get confused by the endless information, because that's what they'll do. The practitioners of the deceptive arts, like myself, will flood you with data, statistics, information, and all kinds of things in order to confuse you, delay you, misdirect you, and make you lose heart, right? Just to exhaust you over tons and tons of information. But 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 knowing what and where, what to look for and where to look for it, will make you effective as a thief of information, right? The best kind of information, and as a practitioner of the deceptive arts. So today's article, this is really the article with the graphic, the picture, and the previous slide came from. Digital around the world. It comes from dataportal.com. There was no author and sadly no date, but you can definitely go check it out. Dataportal.com. It reads, a total of 5.65 billion people, millions, right, around the world were using the internet at the start of July 2025, last week or something like that, very, very recently, equivalent to 68.7% of the world's total population. I may just round this off and say 70%. This impressive figure means that the internet users are now a super majority, with more than twice as many people using the internet as not. So think about that, right? More than double the people that are not using the internet, double that. That's more than that. That's the people that are on the internet. They call them the super majority, right? So this is a tremendous number of people. You don't get a majority like this. Internet users continue to grow too, so the number is growing, with the latest data indicating that the world's connected population grew by 146 million over the past 12 months, at 146 million kids a year. There are 146 million kids a year. I almost just jumped right over that. That's tremendous. Guys, get a vasectomy. It's like everywhere I go, there's just a reason for you to get a vasectomy. 146 million of you are going to be in poverty within the next 12 months. Consider that. That's last year's statistics, and these statistics are going to hold firm every year. Let's proceed with confidence. At 2.7% this year, this year on year, 2.7% growth year on year, growth rate is somewhat slower than the growth rates that we saw during the middle of the last decade, but it still represents healthy momentum in the internet adaptation. So what that means is effectively, while people were all jumping on the internet, the growth was exponential. But now that everybody's on the internet, the growth has slowed down. But usage is higher than ever, right? So while growth has stagnated to around 3%, usage has just blown up. It says here, moreover, routine delays in the processing and publishing of research into internet adaptation likely means that the real growth rate may be higher than the latest figures. I think this growth rate is correct. The author here suggests that it may be downplayed a little bit, but based on the fact that almost everybody's already on the internet, and every year people are just being born, so like in less than a decade, there'll be 146 million more people on the internet. It's just a matter of people getting on there faster. But it's undeniable that everybody's going to be on the internet. And it also indicates that the internet isn't really going anywhere. It's a tool that we like and we use and we appreciate. And if it went away, it would be a catastrophe. It would be a catastrophe. However, despite continuing improvements in global internet access, 2.56 billion people remain unconnected to the internet today, with the majority of these people living in Southern and Eastern Asia and in Africa, of course. So it's Southeast Asia and Africa, which, quite frankly, are the lowest income people. But I do believe that you can. I've been to Africa and I've been to Southeast Asia. So I can tell you that there is internet available in both places, unlimited internet. You can get a SIM card, you can get it on your phone, you can get it on your house. I think it's really a matter of people being priced out. So because cost of living can be so high and incomes can be so low, internet therefore is seen as a luxury, something other than. So you'll have it, but in like you'll have it at work or you'll have it at school, that kind of situation. There it might be unlimited, but you may find that at home you probably have to use 5G or that type of thing on the SIM card, in a more limited capacity. But I can tell you, having been to both places with much confidence, that internet is all over Africa, from the south to the north, right? From South Africa to Egypt, and also all over Southeast Asia. So we're talking about Indonesia, Bali, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, that kind of situation. Let's continue. These figures show that there's still plenty more work to do before the world reaches the goal of universal access and the quality of people's internet access across. Internet access remains an important consideration too. It's only a matter of time before people get more access, right? The vast majority of the world's internet users, 9.5.9%, 96%, 95.9%, in other words, 96%, use a mobile phone to go online at least some of the time, and mobile phones now account for 63% of the world's web traffic. So effectively what they're saying is that people bought their phone so that they could get on the internet and do all kinds of devious, mischievous things. So again, you want to find out what's on these phones. You want to know what these people are doing, right? But you want to keep them away from yours, right? Or you want to get an ancient phone, right, that functions in the shadows of your deception, right? Away from the light, well hidden, well hidden. Sun Tzu says, keep your plans as dark and impenetrable as the night, but when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Social media headlines. It says social media use continues to grow as well. This is very true, with the total number of active social media user identities reaching 5.41 billion. Wow. So that tells you that of the number of people that are on the internet, I would say the majority of people are on there because of social media, right? So that connection between social media, the internet, and smartphones is really unbreakable. That's really, really where it is. So it's not just a tool for business, but it's also a tool for entertainment and distraction. 5.1 billion in July 2005, last week, or whenever it was. That's equal to 65.7% of all the people on Earth. So around 66% of the people on Earth are all on social media, like you and me, and suggests that 95.7% of the internet users now use social media every month. So I suppose the use does vary from person to person. I would have just assumed that people use social media every day, but it's 96% people use social media every month. So you know where everyone is, right? You know exactly where to find the Earth's population. And whatever is on social media, that's what's influencing the culture. So social media is not going anywhere. I think it's not to imply that evolution will not change things, but it's really like television. If you think of the concept of TV, even though people are on social media a lot, people are still watching TV, right? TV is still influential. People of all ages. The the fact that that screen, right? If you look at smartphones, TVs, it's really just a display screen that displays a specific type of information and information that we want and need. But the fact that many smart devices are designed much like a television is an indication that TV is not going anywhere, and neither is smartphones. And as long as there are smartphones, there will be social media. It continues. For added perspective, the latest data from GWI indicates that 96.5% of all adult entertainment users are age 16 and above use at least one social media network or messaging platform each month. I'm going to read that again. For added perspective, the latest data from GWI indicates that 96.97% of adult audiovisual entertainment, right? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So, adult entertainment, 96%, 97% of adult entertainment users age 16 and above use at least one social network or messaging platform each month. So what does that mean? So they correlated the use of social media along with adult entertainment, and they found that it's 1-for-1 match, up to 97%. So the people that are on social media are also consuming adult content, up to 97%. This is very enlightening information. This is very, so if somebody's on social media, 97% of them are consuming adult entertainment content from 16 years and older. That's all the adults. So everybody's just watching adult content. Everybody's just watching adult content. This is very interesting. Meanwhile, the number of active social media user identities around the world has increased by 5% over the past 12 months. 241 million new user identities joined social media between July 2024 and July 2025. 241 million new users, and there are still billions more to go. This is fantastic information, right? So yeah, everyone's on social media. Everyone is growing, and it's still growing, right? Equating to growth of 660,000 new users every day. 660,000 new users of social media every day. That means that social media grew at an average of 7.6 new users every single second. It grew by 7.6 new users every single second since this time last year. If you want to dig deeper into social media use platform, you'll find the latest news stats here. This is staggering. This is staggering. This is an indication that the whole world is under the influence of really the internet. Or better yet, the world is influencing the internet. I think that there's a symbiotic relationship between the internet and humanity that, quite frankly, isn't going anywhere. I've always seen the internet as the interconnected consciousness, the digital interconnected consciousness of humanity. Quite frankly, I believe most of the madness that I see on the internet because some of it you really can't fake it, right? We can see your house, we can see your clothes, we can see you performing, acting, and we can understand the challenges that comes with that, trying to create content and whatnot. But you must understand that everyone is on social media, and if they're not, they will be. Or it's going to be a very small few people who don't, but everybody's eventually going to get on social media and smartphones, right? This is how important smartphones are in the deceptive arts. It's not like the ancient times where things had to be given to by a pigeon or scrolls were sent by spies and all kinds of things. Yeah, you could still play your spy games, and we'll discuss that at another time. Spy games are delightful, but if you want information on someone, you go straight to their phone, you go straight to their social media, and whatever you see there, that's what it is. You can make your full analysis on there. Therefore, it begs the question, should you be on social media? As yourself, I'm not putting my face on social media, but I want to see all of your faces. I want information on all of you, so I have the ancient phone, using the old ways that I know you don't know these tactics too. I'm using strategies thousands of years old, right? That I know that even if you read it, you might not even understand it and you might not even apply it, right? So here I am on the internet, but my face nowhere to be found. By the way, it's probably also because I'm not very handsome, so I'm probably doing you a favor. It's probably more self-preservation than strategy, but let's proceed again with confidence. It says global mobile adoption. Continued growth in mobile use is always helping to fuel increases in digital adoption and activity. The latest data reveals that 70% of the world's total population now uses a mobile phone. This is our headline, with the number of unique mobile phone users reaching 5.76 billion in 2025. Yeah, that's a tremendous number of people. For me, it occurred to me that those people are either seniors, are medically incapable, and quite frankly, I think seniors use smartphones too. So it's probably children whose parents just haven't gotten around to giving them a smartphone yet. But you may find that those children are using their parents' smartphone anyway. It says, meanwhile, the number of cellular connections associated with smartphone continues to increase. And with more than 7.8 billion smartphones now in use, the latest figures indicate that these handsets now account for roughly 87% of the total mobile phones in use around the world. So there's still some people not using smartphones. There was a technology before smartphones that was good in its own way, in terms of, and I guess I'm trying to mimic that technology with my other phone too, just trying to keep it as simple as possible. But really, it's just not efficient. If you can't even send an email on there, there's just no point in wasting your time. You're just delaying things because you're gonna have both eventually. You're going to need a smartphone. But some people keep like a spare phone, just in case of things, that isn't a smartphone. I mean, just get a second smartphone. That's what I did. I just used two smartphones. Why have a spare phone that isn't a smartphone so you can use a smartphone? Just get two smartphones, man. You're supposed to be smartphone, right? You're supposed to be smart with phones. It's not smart not to get a smartphone. But yes, the whole world is using this technology, right? and it's really not going anywhere, right? So you need to get as good and as efficient with it as you can possibly get, right? And keep improving. It says explore the global digital landscape. Want to know more about the digital landscape around the world? I think this is an advert. Let me read it anyway. Our digital 2025 July global stats hot report is packed with more than 500 slides containing all the latest need to know digital stats from around the world. You can read the full report in the embedded below. I'm not reading the parentheses, but click here if you'd like to add deeper into all the context, trends, and implications of these numbers. Alternatively, scroll down to this page to find a summary of all key headlines. You know, if they were going to put an advert in the middle of this article, the very least they could do is sell something. I don't mind. I'll read whatever, you know. And it's not a very well scripted advert. I found it a little bit too wordy. Internet use around the world is the next headline. So number one, there are 5.6 billion people internet users around the world. We've discussed that. Two, the total number of internet users around the world grew by 146 million during the past 12 months. Three, global internet user numbers are growing at an annual rate of 2.7%, but year-on-year growth is even higher, and many developing economies. Routine research delays also mean that growth rate for the most recent 12 to 18 months often underrepresent actual trends. So again, he says here that he believes that this 2.7 or 3% growth rate is underrepresented. So I mean, is he suggesting, or she suggesting, that it's at 5? I'm gonna say she, because many of the articles we've read are written by women, and they've actually been fairly good. So is she assuming that the number could be nearly 5% growth rate, 5% growth rate every year? That is tremendous for a platform. But again, we've never seen anything like this. So anticipate that the real adoption rates may be meaningfully higher than the latest data suggests. Number four, the average global internet user now spends 33 hours and 42 minutes each week consuming online media, although note that simultaneous use of different kinds of media may mean that this figure overstates actual online time. So people are spending 33 hours and 42 minutes a week consuming online media. Consider that the average person works about 40 to 45 hours, right, a week. That's an 8 hour days. So you're spending as much time on social media as you do at work, or almost as much time on social media at work. It's almost as if people will go to work, come home, and then spend time on social media and then sleep. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. But that's a lot of time. That is a lot of time to be on social media. So that means effectively, if you are trying to find out what people are up to, just look at their social media, right? Because that means, other than work, you're practically living on social media. You're practically living for social media, because other than this, you're sleeping. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. I myself find that I do spend a lot of time on social media, particularly if I'm in the house. So, but I'm also reading a lot of articles and that kind of thing. But I'll be on YouTube all the time. I'll have YouTube on my TV. And YouTube will have a myriad of options, right? I'll be on my computer and all kinds of things. So I will admit to spending a lot of time on social media. But I find that if I'm not, then I'm not really doing anything. I mean, other than maybe if I'm reading or working, but otherwise I'll just be sitting there looking at the TV and probably end up eating. So it's a catch-22. But I suppose if you have other things to do, it can be distracting. But if you don't, I don't see the problem with it. You might as well be creating something. If you're going to be spending, this is why ultimately I just ended up making videos. Whether people watch the video or not, you might as well be creating something if you're going to be spending all that time on YouTube, right? You might as well make a video while you're at it. And number five, added together, the world's internet users currently spend more than 1.1 billion years of combined human existence consuming digital media each year. This is a tremendous statistics. The people on the world have spent over 1 billion years. We in combined years, this is troubling. Our species is barely recorded to be 100,000 years. So we've consumed more information. We've consumed. Yeah, I have to redo that last one. It says, added together, number five, added together, the world's internet users currently spend more than 1.1 billion years of combined human existence consuming digital media each year. So we are spending 1 billion years of our lives just on social media. 1 billion years of human existence was spent just on social media in less than 20 years. That's incredible. But also it indicates that, like I said before, we've consumed 1 billion years worth of information and we're still going. This indicates that you can collect a tremendous amount of information and also create a tremendous amount of information. Just think about that. You have 1 billion years worth of content in you, right? So, I mean, you could just come here and talk about vasectomies every day for 1 billion years worth of content and people would consume it, right? This is an incredible statistic, right? We have spent 1 billion years on social media. That's the entire human existence, as far as I surmise it, as just a species, at least longer than what we may have existed as a species. This is incredible. It continues to say, essential social media stats. Kepios, I know I mispronounced that, analysis shows that there are 5.41 billion active social media user identities in the world today, equivalent to 65.7% of the world's total population. We discussed that. However, note that these users' identities may not represent unique individuals. Oh, I see. So these identities may not be the individual. I know myself, I have two identities. Well, two fake identities, I suppose. So, I definitely agree with that. It does not represent unique individuals, but it's also still me, right? Somebody has to be behind that user account. So, maybe not individual people. The number of social media user identities around the world grew by 241 million in the past 12 months. Number three, globally, social media users are growing at a rate of 4.7% per year, with the average active user visiting 6.84 different social media platforms every month. This is interesting. So most people have 6 or 7 different types of social media. I wonder how many of those are dating. I suppose they're all dating sites, aren't they, in one way or another? But I'm assuming this is separate from dating sites. So what are they? What is it? YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Snap. I'm just saying, just off the top of my head, I'm not very familiar with those. Twitch is one that comes to mind, right? Maybe we'll look at which are the popular social media websites so we know where to find all these people. So that also when you are perusing through somebody's phone to see what illegal activities you really don't want to waste time going through like their social media. You want to go straight to their settings, see what apps they have, right? See what file, and then go to files. Go to their files and then go to their pictures, right? Files will give you everything all in one place. I'm assuming you're using the fruit company, right? The other company, I'm not so sure. Or you can just go watch a video. What I usually do is watch a video to see how all these devices work. Because they're always teaching you something that you may not have thought of, all right? Or just reinforcing something that you already know, or a skill that you may have already forgotten through not using it. So you may very well want to go watch a video on how to use various different smartphones and devices, since everybody has them, and then familiarize yourself with that. But yeah, a minimum of seven, average, I beg your pardon, of seven social media platforms every month. It says GWI reports that the average global user spends 18 hours and 46 minutes using social media each week. That's a lot. That's a lot. 18 hours, right? Which includes browsing social media networks, watching online videos on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I think we mentioned that. So those are probably the big ones. That's really where you're going to find most people, either creating or watching on YouTube, probably because YouTube pays. And as long as YouTube pays, people will be incentivized to create content. Even a little bit of money helps. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I don't think they pay, or I don't think they pay as much for various reasons, but I think they're really more for marketing and advertising. But I assure you, if they really wanted a big boost in activities, all they had to do was give somebody $1 and content would go through the roof. And number five, added together, the world spends roughly 600 million years consuming content on social media platforms every year. Oh my God. We are spending 600 million years of time on social media. Is this because social media is effective, or is there something better that we could be doing? I think this is going to be the question of the future. Are we more effective on social media, right? Socializing even with people that aren't in our present vicinity, accessing, the lives, the visions, the ideas of other people across many countries in many different time zones. Is this a better way of existence? Or is there something better that we could be doing? I would argue that, there's a combination of things that we could use, So on the one hand, for example, while you can use social media to create and watch videos, you need an actual human being to dance with, right? So you can play music on social media, but you cannot dance with social media, right? So we may still need elements of both, but I can see very clearly that the internet has changed and improved lives, and social media is really the function that has brought humanity together or kept us apart. In truth, we were always going to argue about things and different perspectives. And maybe the best thing that social media can do is just give us a place where we can argue. It's not like we're not going to argue anyway. It's not like we weren't going to fight and disagree with each other anyway. But social media has just given us a platform where we can do that and express ourselves. And maybe that's the best we can hope for as humanity. You know, I do know that if I wasn't making videos to post on social media right now for this multitude, for just a small portion of billions of people, right? To hope at least to get 1 million years of viewing, right? Or maybe a few 100,000 years of viewing. Who knows? But if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be inclined to make this video. Which then I have to ask myself, what would we be doing? Right? We'd probably just be walking around aimlessly. That's really what people used to do before social media. is to walk around in the sun. The last slide starts with mobile stats from around the world. There are 5.7 billion unique mobile phone users in the world today, according to the latest data from GSMA Intelligence. So that means of each person, 5.76 billion. So at least each 5.76 billion people have one phone, right? So you may have two or more, but 5.7 billion at least have one phone. The total number of unique mobile users around the world grew by 111 million over the past 12 months. 111 million new smartphones sold in the last 12 months. If you're looking for something to invest in, I don't know if smartphone technology is the way for now. Maybe it is, but telecommunications, absolutely the future. Satellite communications, absolutely the way of the future. Now, I'm not a stockbroker. I'm just making an observation. If you want to make an investment, call your stockbroker. All right? Call your stockbroker. Let's continue. Unique mobile users are currently growing at a rate of 2% per year. Meanwhile, millions of people have also upgraded from feature phones to smartphones over the past 12 months. So it's just what I was saying. Like those people who aren't using smartphones, eventually you're going to have to just cross over, or you're going to have both. The latest data from Ericsson show that the number of mobile connections associated with smartphones has reached 7.4 billion. The number of mobile connections associated with smartphones has reached 7.4 billion. I think this is also the people with two phones. Now they've added those extra 2 billion people to those of us who have two phones. So it's very possible that there are over 2 billion people that have, or maybe 1.5 billion people that have two smartphones, while 5.76 billion only have one. This is what my brain is telling me. Accounting for roughly 87% of all the mobile phones in use around the world today, note that many people use more than one mobile phone, as I just said. The number of, so that's about 87% of mobile phones, right? So 90% of phones around the world are all smartphones, effectively. 90% of, so 90% of telecommunications around the world is done, quite frankly, with smartphones, right? The number of smartphones in use is growing at an annual rate of 3.5%. Wow. So more people are getting smartphones, 3.5%, almost 4% more every year, with 250 million new smartphones coming into use over the past 12 months. These numbers are tremendous. This is effectively telling you that the whole world is connected on these smartphones and the whole world is using social media. You need to find out what they're doing, right? You need to be observant, you need to be diligent, but you need to make sure that you keep yourself protected. Not only that, you just need to assume that you're being recorded because you see all the content that's going up. 600 million years worth of content being consumed every year. 1.1 billion years worth of content has been consumed so far, and I believe we've just scratched the surface. I believe we've just scratched the surface. We are coming to a place where everything is going to be on social media. And YouTube is going to be a juggernaut. I mean, if you think YouTube has grown now, it's going to be a monster in the future. All right, this is why we're here. It's the platform to be. And also, fortunately, they allow you to maintain your anonymity, your shape, as you would like to have it, which is a plus. The final section, mobile stats from around the world. There are 5.76 billion unique mobile users in the world today, according to the latest data from GSMA Intelligence. We've already read that. The total number of unique mobile users around the world grew by 111 million over the past 12 months. Three, unique mobile users are currently growing at a rate of 2% per year. Meanwhile, millions of people also upgraded from feature phones to smartphones over the last 12 months. Are we reading the same thing again and again? Oh, it is the same thing again. Mobile stats from around the world. Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, we just read it. It's just double. Okay, good. This says that we have come to the end of the article, which I'm not going to redo this again. But as I alluded to in my introduction, this device is where everything is happening, right? There was a statistic that I read previously that indicated, quite frankly, that one of the adult entertainment companies has literally 5.6 billion users, 5.6 billion imprints. With 5.76 billion users, it indicates that almost everyone is watching adult content. That's your first indication that there are things that may be untoward happening on these mobile devices. Now, I'm not here to tell you that to stop these things, because you're not going to be able to. I'm here to say that this is information that may or may not be useful for you in your deceptive arts. And also, it's an indication that this is the type of information that you need to keep away from people. And you need to make sure that people don't see what's on your phone, because everyone is on their phone and they're doing everything on their phone, and so are you. So you need to keep that phone secret. You need to keep that phone private no matter what. That phone knows everything. This phone knows everything. There was a moment where I underestimated this technology, and that was to my own detriment. And the minute I understood the magnitude of the technology, its capacity, and what it means for me, this phone is literally an extension of yourself. You really need to understand that. This phone is literally an extension of yourself. You have your thoughts, you have your likes, you have your dislikes, you have your concerns, you have your arguments, your fights. Everything is on this phone. It is a literal extension of yourself. It is a digital extension of yourself. And you need to protect that digital extension the same way that you would protect yourself. But also, you need to know what these people are up to. So, I myself use these social media devices, all kinds of things, to observe people. Right? I know my managers are there, my bosses are there, CEO of the company's on there. You know, every time he's going on vacation, he's always posting where he is. Right? So everyone can see him, we can monitor his moves. We can even deduce his budget. Right? We can say, okay, he's staying in this type of hotel, this type of price. We can actually go to that hotel's website. We can go straight to that hotel's website and check the prices for the room. Right? You can see which airline is flying on. You can see which country he's going to. So if he's flying, let's say, from New York to Fiji, we know we can check how much is a flight from New York to Fiji. Right? It's very simple, right? We can see your hotel, which hotel you're staying in. So how much is a hotel from, in Fiji? The same hotel, we can find out, okay, if I wanted to stay there tonight, how much would it be? Right? And if you're doing all these activities, we can check, okay, so he's on a jet ski now. So he's probably at the beach. So he took a taxi to the beach. How much is a taxi from the hotel to the beach? How much is jet skis? How much is lunch? How much is this? How much is that? We can work out your entire budget for your trip just based on what we can see you do on social media. Right? Whichever restaurant you're eating in. If you show us what you're eating, we can go to the restaurant's website and we can see the price of that meal. Exactly. Right? We know exactly where you are, what you're doing, and with who. right? Not only that, it literally tracks where you are. It literally tracks how many steps you're taking a day, how many flights of stairs. It's a very powerful tool. It's an extension of the self, and you need to take it seriously as a conduit of information and deception. Whatever lies people are doing, I promise you, they're on their phone. Whoever they're talking to, whoever they're planning with, whatever they're trying to hide is on that phone. Because if let's say somebody committed a crime and they are involved in a case, they're going to need to communicate with their lawyer in some way. And they're not going to use a payphone to communicate with the lawyer. The lawyer's going to need to send them documents or something, and they're going to need to send the lawyer documents. It's all going to be on the phone. Financial records, intimacy proclivities, which website they go to, it's all on there. It's all, you need to make sure that no one gets their hands on your phone. Never, not for a single second. Never, not for a single second. You need to take that very seriously. In fact, you need to lock up all your devices. Don't let no one touch your devices. But you need to see what's on theirs. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be wild. But this is how you need to strategize in this digital time. All right, you need to come to accept that we are living in a digital age, and they have orchestrated these devices in such a way that they will be and act as an extension to yourself. You need to protect your devices, as well as you need to expose other people's devices. Right? This is the deceptive arts. This is how you move. You need to get your vasectomy too, and make sure nobody makes you make sure you keep that vasectomy off the phone. There's nothing on my phone that says vasectomy at all. Nothing at all. Right? But that's the plan. Right? Anonymity is your ally. But please, I don't think I need to repeat these statistics because they're quite repetitive, even though they are enlightening. You can see just how much time people are spending on the internet. Billions upon billions of years. We're going into year 2 billion. We're going into year 2 billion of online content, and we're hitting it at 600 million a year. 600 million a year. Will be there in no time. Really will be there in no time. Right? So, you know, be aware of the serious nature of this thing. Right? And also be aware that the information that is on there, on the internet, and I believe this information can quite frankly be very real. Right? The things that people are complaining about, the things that people are fighting about, the activities that people are on, this is really what they're doing. Right? This is really what they're doing. So, what you see people arguing about, fighting about, that's what the internet is about. Right? That's what people are actually going through. That's what they're doing. Because how can I make these videos if I'm not here reading these articles? How can you be there crying on the internet if you're not there crying on the internet? It's real. It's real, and you need to treat it as such. Right? Yes, it can be entertaining, but it also can be dangerous for you, or safe. You can stay safe, or it can be dangerous for other people. But it's here to stay. This is the end of the video. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate it, and I always truly will. Please remember to freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. I am the Ancient One. I am the Bachelor Supreme, and I am the Master of the Deceptive Arts. Have a nice day.